Very good evening, everyone. Very good evening, Adil. Very good evening, Vaishali. Very good evening to all the attendees. A very warm welcome to webinar on clinical research. I'm Dr. Tanushri and I will be your host for this exciting session. With increasing investments, innovation in healthcare, and growing demand for safer and faster drug development, clinical research has emerged as a top career choice in the life sciences domain. Therefore, today's webinar will provide you a clear picture of what career opportunities exist in clinical research today, how projects are actually managed in real world settings, and what steps you can take to grow in this domain and become job ready. So, to guide you through this journey, we have an expert panel of industry professionals with us today. It's my privilege to introduce our esteemed speakers for the day. We have with us Ms. Ankita, who have been a clinical research professional for over 5.5 years, working in different therapeutic areas, including oncology, neurology, ophthalmology, and more. She has hands-on experience in clinical trial monitoring, centralized and remote monitoring activities, and risk-based quality management. Ms. Ankita will help us decode what clinical research is and what the future holds. Our next speaker is Mr. Prashant Mehrotra, Senior General Manager, Clinical Research, Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited. Mr. Prashant brings 2 decades of industry experience in multinational pharma and CRO. He is a seasoned clinical development professional with deep expertise in project management and clinical operations. Known for his cross-cultural leadership, Mr. Prashant has successfully led and mentored high-performing teams across global locations. He has spearheaded operational excellence initiatives, conceptualized and implemented innovative operating and governance models, and deftly navigated complex change management projects. He is a strong advocate for integrating technology in clinical development, and his forward looking mindset has consistently delivered impactful outcomes. Currently, Mr. Prashant heads the clinical operations team at Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited, a leading Indian biopharmaceutical company. Mr. Prashant, in his session, will walk us through the types of clinical studies, real life project workflows, the tools used, and what a typical day looks like for a clinical research associate. We warmly welcome you, sir, and look forward to gaining from your rich experience and insights. Also, we have with us Ms. Kavita, who is a dedicated clinical research professional with 2 years of hands-on experience in clinical research and clinical operations, with a strong foundation in good clinical practice guidelines and regulatory requirements. Ms. Kavita has supported the planning, coordination, and execution of clinical trials across various phases. She is currently working as clinical research trainer in Biotecnika and is passionate about sharing knowledge and supporting the professional development of research teams. Ms. Kavita will walk us through how you can grow in clinical research industry and what training pathways one should follow. We welcome you, ma'am. Dear attendees, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box at any time during the webinar. We'll address them during the live Q&A session after all the speakers' presentation. So let's begin with session 1. Over to you, Ankita, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the warm introduction. So, firstly, I would like to apologize because due to technical issue, I'm not able to switch on my camera. But I'll be sharing my screen. Just let me know once it is.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, no problem with that.
Thank you for understanding. I hope my screen is visible. Okay. So, yeah, as the name says that today we will
it's
be...
not yet visible, ma'am. The screen is not yet visible. Could you please check again?
Right now.
Yeah, it's visible now. Perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, as the name suggests, so today we will be talking about certain career aspect and basics about clinical research and how as an individual we can pave our pathway in the field of clinical research. So firstly, talking about clinical research, we just need to know what is the basic of it, like what does clinical research mean? So clinical research is a branch of medical science that involves human participants and focuses on how effective and safe a study medication is. So it can be anything. It can be a molecule, it can be a medical device, it can be certain kind of diagnostic tools or any other treatment that will be aiming to enhance the human health. So there are certain studies that are specifically designed to prevent, to treat, diagnose, or to deepen our understanding of the disease symptom that is there. So, there is a small difference between clinical practice and clinical trial or clinical research. So, clinical research generally involves systematically gathering evidence under strict study conditions from groups of participants to assess how well and how safely the treatment is working on them. So, clinical trials play a very vital role in advancing new medical treatments, therapies, and other interventions. These carefully controlled studies assess the safety and effectiveness of a novel drug, or it can be also a medical device or any other health related approaches before they receive approval for general use. By general use, we mean that it is open in market so that everyone can use it. Now, there are certain phases of a clinical trial. It starts from phase 1 to phase 4. So, before starting phase 1, the molecule that is being tested, it is tested in preclinically. That is, it can be tested in animals or in cell lines or in test tubes like that. Once they're getting enough positive result that yes, the molecule is doing good, they will be bringing it to humans. So, phase 1, likewise, it is known as first in human phase, or it is also known as human pharmacology trial. And it involves mainly healthy volunteers or subjects with actual disease. So it is a very short duration phase, and the study population is also less, that is around 20 to 80, where primary safety and tolerability and efficacy data is being provided. Next, after phase 1 results are giving positive outcomes, we move on to phase 2, that is also known as therapeutic exploratory trial. Here, the efficacy and pharmacodynamic actions are checked in subjects, those who are having the actual disease, for which the drug is intended to treat. So it will be checking the safety issues and common short-term side effects. And also optimum dose finding is done in this phase. What is optimum dose finding? Like the correct dose at which the drug is acting best upon the trial participant. That dose finding is done here. And here around 550 to 300 subjects can be enrolled for phase 2. Next, after again getting phase 2 positive results, the trial can be shifted from phase 2 to phase 3, which is known as therapeutic confirmatory trial. So, from the name itself, we can understand that here we get enough result to confirm that the molecule that we are testing is giving us a positive result, and the benefit that they are getting from the molecule is more than the risk associated with it. Okay, so we have to check on the risk and the benefit ratio. If the benefit is more, then only the molecule will be carried forward. So here in this trial, in this phase, it is done to obtain the sufficient evidence about safety and efficacy. And it may also be done for comparing the investigational drug, that is our drug of interest, with any other drug that is already marketed. Okay. And here the patient population size is more than the other two phases, that is around 300 to 1000 subjects. And lastly, phase 4. Once we get enough evidence from all the three phases, we can move on to phase 4, and it is also known as post-trial marketing surveillance study phase. So in this phase, the trial and the drug is being already approved, and it is for market use. Like general patients can be prescribed over the counter. So it provides information to amend the package insert in terms of safety and precaution, and additional data on safety may lead to safer use of the drug. So what happens is, all this while, that is from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, in a controlled environment in selective subjects, the trial was being conducted. However, in phase 4, it is open to all general patients. So there are chances of more side effects or more adverse events that were not seen earlier. As a result, based on certain scenarios, they might require to amend or to modify the package inserts and the precautions. Here in phase 4, it also determines the behavior of the drug when it is used in any real time situation without any dietary control or without any prohibition of nicotine or alcohol. And it also determines the action of the drug during any missed or overdosage. Now, coming to an important part. So, why is clinical research important? Like, what will we do after studying about clinical research, after knowing about the clinical research basics and the advanced things? So, what are the roles that are offered once we go into this clinical research field? So, firstly, it is Clinical Research Associate, commonly known as CRA. So, the job of the CRAs are to monitor the clinical trial to ensure that they follow the protocol and regulatory requirement. So, every clinical trial will be having a standardized protocol that will be designed by the pharmaceutical company who is owning the drug, and it will be followed as per the protocol. So the job of the CRA, they are also called monitors, is to follow the protocol and the regulatory requirement. And these CRAs will be acting as a bridge between the sponsor and the clinical sites. Sponsors as in this pharmaceutical company who is sponsoring the trial and the drug. And clinical sites means the site like the hospital or the educational system where the trial is being conducted. And they also conduct site visits, reviews the data, and ensures participant safety. Next is Clinical Research Coordinator, commonly known as CRC. So CRA's job was to act as a bridge between the site and the sponsor. But the CRCs will always be present at the site itself. So their job is to manage day-to-day trial operation at the clinical sites. They recruit and schedule participants and obtain consent and collects the data of the clinical trial. So obtain consent means before participating in a clinical trial, the subject should give their voluntary consent that yes, I want to be a part of the clinical trial. Only then they will be enrolled. So the job of the CRC, one of the job of the CRC is to take consent from those participants and also collect the data that is being coming all throughout the clinical trial. And they work closely with the CRA and the principal investigator. Principal investigator are nothing but the doctors who are in charge of the clinical trial. Coming to the third one, that is data manager. So there will be a lot of data, right, for one particular clinical trial. So someone should be there to manage the data, to maintain the data and the database. So the job of the data manager comes here. So they will be designing and maintaining the clinical trial database. They also ensure that the data is accurate, complete, confidential, and they collaborate with the CRAs or the biostatisticians to prepare data for analysis. Next, coming to biostatisticians. So they are more into the field of statistics. Okay, their job is to plan the statistical analysis and to interpret certain things. So they will be planning the statistical methods for analyzing the trial data, and they also interprets result to determine the effectiveness and safety of the intervention. Like I told you, like they will be looking into the risk and the benefit ratio, right? Only if the benefit overpowers the risk for a particular drug molecule, the trial will be carried forward. So this job of biostatistician is to look into how effective and safe the molecule is, and they also play a crucial role in study design and reporting. Next is medical writer. So So the medical writer develops scientific documents like study protocol, clinical study reports, and other regulatory submissions. So at every step, like once the trial is moving from preclinical to clinical, or it is moving from phase 1 to phase 2, the report, the data needs to be submitted to the regulatory authority, like for example to the FDA, to the EMA, and they will be looking into the data. Only if they find that the data is proper, the trial is going in a positive direction, they will be giving the green light for the next step. Okay, so those reports needs to be provided and needs to be prepared in a very crucial way and in a very crisp and scientific way. So in that case, medical writers are required. And also they will be designing the protocols, because it is an important, one of the important document of the clinical trial. And also they will be translating complex trial data to clear and accurate language. And they ensures that the content meets regulatory and ethical standard. So since we are dealing with human beings in the clinical trial, we should be very mindful about the ethics. As a result, the ethical standards are also taken into account. Then we have regulatory affairs specialists. So they are the people who will be preparing and submitting the regulatory document to the regulatory authorities, like I said, FDA or EMA. And they also ensure compliance with legal and ethical guidelines. And they will be tracking the changing regulation and advising the team accordingly. So there might be many amendments that will be coming up with the regulatory authorities, right? Like FDA might release some new amendment, EMA might release some new amendment. So this regulatory affair team needs to be very much focused about this kind of amendment, and they need to inform to the entire team of the particular trial that this is an amendment and we need to work based on that amendment accordingly. Okay. Next is some essential soft skills which we need to master, because we are dealing with human beings, subjects, like it is a very delicate thing that we are dealing with, right? So there are certain things which we need to focus. So firstly, it is attention to details. So here we need to ensure accuracy of the data collection, documentation, and protocol adherence. So we need to follow the protocol properly. Okay, and the data that is collected, it should be accurate and it should be documented properly. There should not be any forgery or any kind of mishap that is happening with the data. Okay, next is communication. So if we imagine our role as a CRC, we will be directly communicating with subjects. So subjects can be any type, like they can be of any type, right? If we are into some oncology study, so we have to deal with them in a certain way. If we are into some neuro disease study, then we have to deal with them in a certain way. So we can't be very rude or arrogant with them. So as a result, it is crucial for reporting findings, coordinating with teams, and patient interaction. So patient interaction is very important. Next is critical thinking. So why is critical thinking helpful? Because it helps in analyzing the data, troubleshooting issues, and making informed decisions. So we have to be very prompt, very quick in making decisions, right? Because we are dealing with subject side effects, adverse events, serious adverse events, and at any cost, we cannot lose a person's life due to this test, right? So we need to think properly and think wisely. Next is ethical judgment. So here we need to maintain integrity and compliance with the regulatory standards. Next is teamwork. So it is not a job of one person who will be managing the data, going and talking with the regulatory authority, coming and having meeting with sponsor and doctors, right? So there is a whole team who is involved. So teamwork is very important here, and the trials involve cross-functional team collaboration, which is the key to drive the clinical trial forward. Next is adaptability. So as I said, there can be any kind of amendment that is happening, or any kind of location change that is happening. So research environments change rapidly. So flexibility is very much essential, and we need to adapt to a new environment very quickly. Lastly, time management. So trials run out tight schedules. and deadlines must be met without compromising the quality. So we need to maintain the timeline, and we need to focus that the quality is not getting hampered for this reason. Okay, so with time, all these qualities, all these soft skills will be inbuilt in you once you go into this field of clinical research. So initially, once you start working in this field, you will adapt yourself to all these things, and you will be moving forward accordingly. Next is required qualification. So many of us might have this doubt that I have studied this. Will I be eligible for this field? Will I be eligible for this role or not? So here are few tips or few degrees which can be, helpful for you to start your field in the start your journey in the field of clinical research. Firstly, if you are having any bachelor degrees in following things, like in pharmacy, in nursing, biotechnology, microbiology, biochemistry, or in medicine. Medicine means if you have done MBBS, like if you are in a doctor, or if you have done BDS. Okay. Next is master degree. It is like if you're not having master degree also, then also you can start your clinical research journey, but it is always advantageous to have a higher degree. So if you're having MSc in any of this life science, clinical research, pharmacology, or public health, or if you're having PhD or advanced research roles, then also you are free to come to the field of clinical research. Okay, so got to know about what are the roles that is being offered. Now we will get to know where can we work. So firstly, pharmaceutical companies, like mainly they are known as the sponsors. So here you can work for conducting and managing the drugs, the clinical trials, and also you can work under regulatory submission and for safety monitoring. Next is contract research organizations or CROs. So what happens is big pharmaceutical companies, they will be hiring CROs or contract research organization, and they will be giving them the contract to manage certain clinical trials. So these CROs are also very good for starting your career, and they will be supporting multiple sponsors in clinical trial operations and also in data management. Next is if you're interested to work with patients and work in sites, then you can work for hospitals and medical institutions in assisting in investigator initiated studies and patient recruitment as well. Next is some biotech firms are also there. So these biotech firms will be designing and executing the trials for novel therapies and diagnostics. So you can work for them also in wet lab to check for the preclinical data, how well it is working in animals or in cell lines, all those things. If you're interested to, then you can work for biotech firms as well. Next is certain government and regulatory agencies. So they will be overseeing the compliance, the ethical standards, and the public health research. Next is academic and research institute. Again, it is kind of similar to the site itself. However, research institute will be engaging more in publications, teaching. So like if you want to share your knowledge on clinical research, so you can opt for this kind of research institute. And next is medical device companies. These are also kind of sponsors only. So not only pharmaceutical companies will be designing or developing drug molecule, right? They will also develop certain machines or certain devices that will be helping the patients. So in those kind of places also you can try your career for testing and validating new devices through clinical trials. And about the entry level and the experience level roles and salary, I'll not be going much deep into this because we have a separate session for this that will be taken by Kavita ma'am. So entry level role means if you are having no experience, like 0 to 2 years. Okay, so these are the roles where you can go for, like you can work for CRC, you can work for clinical trial assistant or pharmacovigilance associate, or any data entry or regulatory assistant. Like these are the roles that is applicable and most suitable for freshers. Okay. Next is mid-level roles. Like if you're having around 3 to 5 years of experience, these are the roles where you can try out. Like clinical research associate or CRAs, then regulatory affairs specialist, followed by clinical data manager and medical writers. And lastly, once you're having more years of experience, you have gathered enough knowledge and you can confidently say that yes, I can go for senior roles, then you can try out in the field of clinical trial manager, clinical research scientist, clinical research physician, or even senior CRS. So yeah, that's it about the basics of clinical research, followed by the roles and responsibilities where you can pave your path. So that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ankita ma'am, for such an wonderful and informative session. Now it's time for session two. I would like to request Prashant sir. Over to you, sir.
Sure, give me a second, please.
Sure.
Just loading my presentation. Hold on. Hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And thanks, Biotecnika, for inviting me. I mean, basically, I must say, I mean, it's all about my love for clinical research that I actually just finished one of the meetings and just joined this. And I really want the new researchers to join the field, and whatever contribution I can make to inspire them, I'll be very happy to do that. And I really, really, really want good researchers to come in the field and work with ethics, work with quality, work with the timelines, everything. So that's what my endeavor is to give to the students here. Well, I have been in the industry for now 20 years, worked for many companies, for like big multinational companies, worked outside India, in India, worked for contract research organization, worked as an operations role, as well as in, I would say, business development roles, and many roles, I would say, in the senior management role as well. But definitely, I still am learning and learning many things, and the learning never stops. I can say that, and that's where I really want and encourage the students to feel that the learning never stops, and we have to just progress from where we are, and every day is a new day, new learning, and we must move from that. So I mean, without putting more inspiration, I'll just move on further things. Uh, I believe, and again, a disclaimer: the opinions expressed in this presentation and the following slides solely those of my views, and not necessarily those of my company where I'm currently employed with, Bharat Serums and Vaccines. So these are my personal views. This is my disclaimer to all the audience here. So, I mean, I won't dwell into what is clinical research. The previous speaker gave quite a detailed point of what is clinical research. Obviously, this involves a very systematic, and I must say, the word systematic is very important. It involves a very systematic, way to conduct the studies to study the safety as well as the effectiveness of our drugs and the medical devices in the human being. So the most important thing I would say is in a systematic way, studying the safety, the effectiveness, and in the human being. It's very, very, very important what we are doing right now. And basically, it typically progresses through different phases, which my previous speaker has like marked out. I just briefly will go through it. What exactly the clinical studies are broadly based into? Basically, they're categorized into two parts, like interventional and the non-interventional. Interventional, which we called as clinical trials, where the interventions are made, and the non-interventional, where the observational studies, where the data prospective or the retrospective data are analyzed, and there's no I won't say, I mean, one of the part, and there's not, I mean, we don't have to govern those study with the kind of, I would say, very strict kind of protocols. They are like in the real world settings. So those are the observational kind of studies. But yeah, just coming quickly on the phase one, as a previous speaker also said, that the phase one studies are basically done for the safety and the dosage, and it's done in a very, I would say, very small group of individuals, in healthy volunteers or in patients. Yeah, the phase one studies are done in patients as well, where they're done in oncology, because in oncology we cannot give the drug to the healthy volunteers. So here definitely we involve the patients, and that is where the real game begins. Because and here in oncology we know that we are just trying to improve the quality of the life, and how to make and determine the drug safe right from the word go. So that's why we definitely want to go right from the beginning itself. The phase one is done in the patients, and that is where we actually collect a lot of data in terms of safety, in terms of tolerability, the pharmacokinetics, the pharmacodynamics of the drug is all done here. And the sole focus is on the dosage range as well as the safety of the molecule. I mean, and many of the molecules can be killed here itself if they are not. I mean, if they're not safe, we can simply just. I mean, just kill that molecule there itself, rather than going forward and seeing things how they can be just, or we can modify it. So it depends on situation to situation how it works with. The duration obviously could be from several weeks to months, but it depends again on a very focused approach, doing very stepwise approach, because here again we're dealing with humans, not with machines. So we have to be very, very careful on the terms of, I would say, in terms of the safety part. So it could take weeks, it could take months, but yeah, safety is a paramount here. The phase two, it again if evaluates the further efficacy and safety. Safety is definitely assessed in every step of the clinical trial, every phase of the clinical trial. However, the number of participants do increase in that once we are confident of the dose what we want to give, and we determine the dose and then move to a phase two part of the study. And then it is done in patients with the target condition. I mean, if, for example, if I have I'm working on a diabetes molecule, I would be like now taking the patient who's suffering with diabetes, either type 2 or type 1 diabetes, whatever my protocol says. It could be various scenarios, but definitely this should be in phase 2 will be in particular disease condition itself. The duration could range from months to couple of years. That's how this could be. Phase three is again we confirm the efficacy of our drug further, as well as we monitor the adverse events. As I've told you, the safety is monitored in each and every phase of the study. And then in this phase, we also compare the drug, the investigational drug, with the standard treatment which is available in the market, to see whether it's inferior, superior, whatever it is. We compare that, and this is done in large populations. It could be done in single country, it could be done in multi-centric, it could be done in multi-country. I mean, that's how it can be. It could be like it can run into thousands of patients. So that's how it's how much we can do and how much we can gather data, robust data, for the safety and effectiveness. And this data is extremely important when we are filing for the regulatory approval. So obviously phase one, phase two, preclinical animal data, everything is important. But phase three data is extremely important, because here you're doing the study in large number of patients and gathering data in close to the real environment. So that is extremely important. And and the duration of the study can vary like 2 years, like 1 to 4, 5 years, whatever. But certainly it's one of the very interesting phases of clinical trial. Again, the molecule can be killed here as well. I mean, I have worked in a couple of molecules where I was involved in like phase three. I was involved in the program of an insulin product, which was like 7 or 8 trials we were doing the phase three. But unfortunately, because of some certain conditions, we actually have to kill that program. But it can be done at any point of time. So it's not that if I'm doing that I have to launch the product. So it's the research. After all, we are doing research and we are making our molecules, I would say, safe and effective. The first thing is definitely safety. I mean, it should be safe to the patients, because ultimately we are dealing with humans. That's what I again want to say. In the phase part, the last part of study is the post-marketing surveillance, which we also call as phase 4. Here we actually monitor the long-term effectiveness of the drug and safety in the real world use. And again, this is done with a proper protocol. I mean, this is different from the real world evidence, because real world evidence is given in terms where the patients are given drug and then we monitor the data. But here, even though we are monitoring the effectiveness and safety, but it still goes with a proper protocol in that. It can be done in thousands of patients, and it can vary for like I would say long time, and we evaluate a lot of things here, like the long term side effects, the effectiveness, quality of life, and this can be done on a long term basis. So this is a very exciting but a very time consuming part. But thank God, but we have approval with that, so we are marketing the drug as well as we are doing the post marketing surveillance. So this is again a very interesting part of the study. Coming to other type of studies, which I would say, again, I've told about the observational studies or the non-interventional studies. Here, the investigators do not intervene, but observe the outcomes in natural settings, as I have told you. So there could be different kind of studies like cohort studies. There could be case control studies. There could be cross-sectional studies. So basic objective is to understand the disease progression or the treatment patterns or the epidemiology or those things are observed in the observational studies. Then other type of studies are the bioavailability and bioequivalent studies, which are basically done in the generic molecules. For example, I mean, some molecule is already in the market, and then how we have to like many Indian companies are there. They have the like, for example, some molecules getting off patent, and these molecules now need to be launched in the markets where the patents are off, so they can actually do the bioavailability and the bioequivalent studies in certain molecules, and then the data matches from the originator molecule and these generic molecules. The many regulatory agencies, they take this data, assess it, and then the molecules can be launched with the those generic drugs when the off patent is regime is there. So these bioavailability studies are basically mostly done in healthy volunteers, but certainly in some of the cases they are, like for example, if there are PK/PD studies, they are done in patients. So they are like the studies which are very interesting. And for example, in bioavailability studies, the objective is to measure the rate and extent of drug absorbed into the systemic circulation, how they're available in the body, how they are, like for example, excreted from the body. All those things are studied in bioavailability studies. Bioequivalence again gives us the equivalence, how the drug is comparable with the original drug. This is something which is evaluated in the bioequivalence studies, and this is required for the generic drug approval, as I've told you. And there could be randomized trials, crossover in healthy volunteers. So these are different kind of studies which are there in the field of clinical research, and many companies are doing various models. For example, sponsor companies, they're into I would say new molecules. There are companies which are like doing the generic molecules. They're the companies which are like following the biological molecules or the biosimilars. So there are many companies which are doing different kind of work and helping the patients to like get the affordable drugs for their treatment. And as the other, I believe the previous speaker also told, that there are many parts involved in it. Like for example, there are the pharma companies definitely called as a sponsor. Then there are contract research organizations to whom the sponsors outsource the work, because sponsors might be overwhelmed with other works, and they can be involved in the strategies and how the relationship management, everything, but the real work can be outsourced to the contract research organization. So many contract research organizations are there in the world with the sponsors or the pharmaceuticals companies work with, and this is how the things move on. And it's not mandatory that sponsor companies will outsource all the trials to the contract research organizations. They can do it in-house, they can do it like partially in-house, they can outsource one part of it. So there are many models which are available in the industry right now. So that's how the things work. So switching to gears to different kind of information which I want to show to you guys is like what is the flow chart of activities of conduct of clinical trials. So I mean, it follows, I won't say this is very exhaustive, but it gives you a gist of it gives a gist of things, how the things happen in generally for a pharma company. How do we do the things? So for example, the first step would be like for the management team, that we need to conduct a clinical trial in certain geography to market certain drug. Or if there is some, like for example, if we have working on some molecule, and those molecules are certainly important for one of the regions, or it is important for the some unmet need, that kind of analysis is done, and based on that, molecules come from the lab, from the bench to the preclinical part, to the animal models, and once they pass everything, they come to the human model, that is a clinical trial. So based on that, we actually design we analyze the study, we see what kind of tentative budgets would be required, and if we want to outsource the study to the contract research organization, we identify them, we finalize the protocol, we do the I would say the all the informed consent, which is very important part of the clinical trial. We design that as well. We finalize the CRO, the study budgets, the feasibility is done, and the selection of sites, everything is done by CRO or by the sponsor. Submissions to the are done to the all the protocol, all the essential I would say documents are done to the regulatory agencies and the ethics committees. And if we and to start any study, we should have the approval from the regulatory agencies as well as from the ethics committee of the sites, from where sites, when I say sites, they're the hospitals from where we are conducting the study. So there are many checks and balances. We cannot just go and do the study. There are many checks and balances. It needs regulatory approvals, it needs ethics approvals, it needs scientific approvals. So all those things are done on the background before a study is initiated. And once we get the approval, studies are initiated with proper checks and balances, I must say that. And with a lot of ethics, a lot of like patient is given utmost importance of, like, for example, taking voluntary informed consent. If patient says, no, I don't want to get involved in the study, he can withdraw himself or herself at any point of time. So it gives a lot of leeway to us when we are like working, I would say not leeway, it gives a lot of leeway to the patients that they can decide for themselves in the study. And as a sponsor, as a CRO, we must respect patient's opinion on it, because patient's opinion is extremely important, and we cannot do any study without patient's consent. That's the strict bottom line, I would say. The pillar of the clinical research is definitely patient safety and data integrity. These are the two important pillars of clinical research, of which I've been taught 20 years back, and still I teach my team, my folks, and whomsoever I meet, that patient safety and the data integrity are the two most important things which we have to actually take care in the clinical study. So, okay, coming back to this slide itself, then after once we have the regulatory approval, we procure the investigational product or the comparative product, whatever it is there. Then the sites are initiated, the hospitals are initiated, they are properly trained, how to conduct the study, what are the roles. The roles are properly defined at the sites, at the hospitals. Then the study is conducted, and a proper monitoring is also done by the CROs, and the oversight is done by the sponsor companies. Then once everything is done, data is like collated, it's analyzed from the data management team. Then a final clinical study report is prepared. Once clinical study report is done, it is submitted to the like the regulatory agencies. In case of India, it's DCGI and the ethics committees as well. And once the dosage is prepared, submitted to the regulatory agencies for the further marketing of the product. So this is how it is done. And then once it is done, we close out all the sites, and parallelly we also work in the publication, how we can, whatever good work we have done in terms of doing the study, we should also publish to the world, that how we have done the study and how the results are published. So this is also an important aspect of conducting the clinical trials. Well, the key tools in the clinical trials, you might be aware of it. There are many tools. For example, for EDC, we have, for data capture, we have EDC, we have clinical trial management systems, we have the IWRS or IVRS, we have trial master files, ETMF, we have the electronic patient report outcome forms or the systems, we have the pharmacovigilance tools, we have analytical tools. So I will just quickly touch base on that, what exactly is the purpose of each tool and how we just work very quickly on that. For example, EDC works in capturing the data. It is like ECRFs or electronic case report forms. It gives us the real data entry, and the monitoring can be done with that. The queries are solved with that. And there are many examples of these EDCs. I'm not going very particular in that, but these are the few of the examples of the electronic data capture platforms which are available in the market. Clinical trial management system, the purpose is to track, to plan, manage operational aspects of the trial. So it's very important for a CRO or the sponsor. We track our study, we track our entire program through this clinical trial management system. The budgets, the finance, everything is tracked through it. And it has a good integration with the electronic data capture as well as the electronic trial master file. So it is a very comprehensive system in which talks to other systems as well and gives the comprehensive information. And again, some examples are given below in this slide itself. Interactive web response or interactive voice response systems are those which actually help us in like assigning the treatment or randomization to a study, and the drug shipment or inventory control with its scheduling. It's again a very interactive tool which is very helpful for us to do the processes involved in the clinical trial. Electronic trial master file. I mean, when I started my career, there were no electronic trial master file. There were like manual files. But now, with the advent of technologies, there are many electronic trial master files available where the data can be maintained in a, I would say, in a soft copies or hard copies like there, and then the proper scanning and the proper filing and the proper, I would say, nomenclature-wise filing, and everything is done in the electronic file master files. It helps in organizing and archiving the documents as per the guidelines, as per the global guidelines, which is ICH-GCP. And then it definitely helps us in managing the audits and inspections in a very, I would say, in a robust way. And it's a real-time collaboration between all the stakeholders involved in the studies. It's very, again, a very helpful thing. These are again very important electronic clinical outcome assessments. For in the previous time, they used to use the diaries, which were like paper diaries. Now there are many. With the advent of technology, we have the apps available on the phone where the patient can download those apps, which are made by this pharma company, the sponsor company. They can actually, when they're participating in the trial, they can actually inform the I mean in the data in the app itself that okay, they have taken the medicine at this time, or if they've taken the medicine, what is the side effect of it, or for example, they send the reminders also, okay, have to take the medicine at this time. So these kind of apps are also there, and then they can report the quality of life as well. For example, if it says how we are doing today in the scale of 1 to 10, please rate it, and were you able to do your work today, or you were taken off. All those things can be like very well written in in these diaries or in these electronic diaries, and these are very helpful for us to see how we have affected the patient life and how it has improved the patient life. And this will definitely help us also in making our further studies more robust and more patient centric also. So these are very important, helpful things, these patient reported outcomes. And in times to come, obviously these patient reported outcomes will be very helpful to make us more patient centric protocols. Rather than making protocols very stringent, it should be more patient centric protocols, which we are trying as pharma company. We trying to make it more patient centric so that more and more patients can be benefited, and the trial doesn't suffer any protocol deviations or challenges. So this is definitely a very important tool for us. The pharmacovigilance tool, as the name suggests, it helps in managing the track and managing the adverse events at the time of the development and at the time of the periodic updates as well. So safety reporting, reconciliation, periodic safety updates at the time of development, at the time of marketing, everything is done through these pharmacovigilance tools, and it has again integration with the electronic data capture and the safety databases. Analytical tools are the new tools in the market which actually help us give in the real-time dashboards that what is the trend of recruitment, what is the trend of adverse events, or what is the trend of how the things are going in a real-time basis. And again, these analytical tools talk to various tools in the system, for example, to ETMF, to CTMS, to EDC. So everything is like collated in one place and give us a real-time dashboard in it. Again, very helpful tool in aggregating and analyzing trial data across systems. So these are the few tools which are there in the which we use in our daily life, and very helpful tool for us, for my teams, and for the teams which are involved in doing clinical trials as well. Switching gears, what exactly is the role of a clinical research associate? So clinical research associate, I always say, is the CEO of the trial. I mean, if a clinical research associate performs well, the I would say the trial performs very well, and it is one of the very important roles in the system itself. I started my career as a CRA back in 2005, learned a lot of things, implemented a lot of things, very helpful. I mean, what's the mentors and the training teams I've got, and this is how the things move on. And the CRA role, like it's always evolving role, always learning role. And every time you go to the site or the hospital, you meet the doctors, you meet the clinical research coordinators, you learn a lot. I have learned a lot in my life with all the doctors and the CRCs I've met throughout. So I've learned a lot, and still I'm learning a lot from these great people whom I meet at the hospitals. So at office, obviously, you have work for updating, for seeing the mails, for the sponsors, internal teams. You schedule meetings and then prepare materials for the day activities like monitoring reports, write up monitoring reports once you're back from the monitoring, communicate with the project manager or your data manager how the things are going on in trial status, and then attend meetings internally or sponsor meetings which are there of the trial updates or regulatory updates are there or any risks are there. You have our internal meetings for that. And then obviously you prepare for the next meeting, next trial visit at the site, how it is going on. And the most interesting part of the CRA is obviously is the on-site monitoring, which is really very important, I must say. And the most important thing is to review the source documents. I mean, in today's scenario, when I interview people and when I ask them what exactly you do, and these are the people who are like 7, 8, 9 years of experience in the industry, the CRA, and I ask them what exactly you do and when you do go for monitoring. We verify the data. The source data verification is one of the part, not the part. The most important part is the source which is written in the patient files where the information is written. Is that right or not? Has the protocol has been followed or not? So the most important thing for a CRA is to see the patient files in detail, because if you see the patient files in detail, you'll get entire story itself there. And then when you verify the case report forms with the patient files, you'll find all the information. So the first and the foremost thing is to dig deep into the patient files. That will help you in understanding the study, the site, the patient behavior, the doctor's behavior, everything very well. If you see the documentation very well, everything, source data verification will be very easy task for you. So source data review is a very important part along with source data verification. Informed consent is very important to check for the CRA, because until and unless a patient or a volunteer signs the informed consent, they cannot participate in the trial. So they have to sign the informed consent along with the doctor. The questions, their answers, everything have to be sorted out before they participate in the study. Even if they take a single step in the study, they have to have an informed consent form signed by them. Then a CRA checks the drug accountability logs, the storage conditions. Then if there are any protocols, they're deviated or adverse events, they discuss with the principal investigator, the site staff. And then, for example, if there are any queries which needs to be resolved by the site staff, that needs to be done. And they also check all the trial master documents which are at the site. They are up to date, they're filed properly or not. And then, I mean, it's not only left at that side. Sometimes the monitor also do remote monitoring sitting at office itself. They review all the scanned documentation which is coming from the site, the electronic data as well. So all these things are also can be done remotely as well. But during the COVID time, I remember when we were not able, my team was not able to go to the sites, they did a lot of remote monitoring, and that was very helpful for all of us to capture the data and to see the monitoring and the robustness at the site. Everything was done very well by the sites as well as by the teams as well. So I must thank all the doctors whom I've worked with. They have really done well and helped us a lot in conducting the clinical trials at that time as well. So the key skills of CRA, again, what all I have written is something which, or what my previous speaker also said. I mean, everything is there, but the most important thing is the logic and the common sense. That is the most important skill of a CRA. I mean, if you have the logic, if you have the CRA, if you have the right attention to detail, and if you have the logic to question, if you have logic to get the answers, I mean, it's not a rocket science, I must say. And again, attention to detail. We should all pay attention to details. I mean, the focus should be on everything, whatever we are doing. I mean, not only for CRA role, for anything. Communication, it has to be good. It has to be good. It should be crisp. It should be transparent. It should be very clear. Whatever you're communicating, please communicate very clearly. There shouldn't be any ambiguity in your statements. And then managing the project with timely way. It's also very important. It comes over the time. It's not that you will do it in one shot. It keeps on. I mean, you have to polish your skills every time. That's how the things go on. And then getting the basic regulatory knowledge on the GCP, on the FDA guidelines, EMA, and they're again very big guidelines. You cannot just mug them up, right? You should know what is the source of where they're located. And I must go, and if I have a challenge, I must go and just refer to them, right? And then, but basic of like, for example, GCP, you should have knowledge of GCP, no doubt about it. You should have knowledge of the NDCT when you're doing NDCT 2019 rules. You should have knowledge of that. So these are the basic things you should have knowledge. But nobody wants you to mug up those. But over the time, since you practice that, it keeps on coming to you, and you can just move on with that. So these were the few points which I wanted to raise. And as the moderator said, we can take the question and answer later. And I'm very happy to take more question and answers, because I believe with question and answer we can resolve many things. It's just a presentation, and question and answer I can give my experience, how I have done the things in my life so far, and what I expect from the newcomers who are joining the industry, what they can expect the employers or the companies to whom they work for. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an highly informative session, especially the real life experiences, the examples that you mentioned when you were talking about different phases of clinical trials or while you were discussing about the tools. I think it's really helpful for our attendees for understanding the concepts. Like it will surely help them understand the concept better. So thank you for sharing such wonderful experiences and real life examples, sir. And
Pleasure.
definitely we'll be yes sir. So we have several questions, so I will be taking them in the end. We have one more session to go. So everyone, it's time for session 3. So over to you, Kavita ma'am. You can start with your presentation.
Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present in this session, and it was really so insightful from the previous speakers' insights, and both of them have done an amazing job. So I'll quickly move on to my topic. Yeah. So my topic would be. So is my screen visible?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Okay, just give me a minute. So, yeah, my topic would be career growth and training pathways. So, what if I told you that the next big medical breakthrough could have your name behind it, not as a doctor or a scientist, but as a clinical researcher who made it happen? Welcome to the world where data drives decisions, where ethics meets innovations, and where every clinical trial is a chance to save a life. Welcome to the world of clinical research. Today, clinical research is not just a career option, it's a booming industry with global demand, cutting edge technology, and the power to impact millions. And the best part, it's no longer reserved for a chosen few with decades of experience. With the right training, the right skills, and a clear roadmap, you can grow from a fresher to a leader level roles faster than you think. In this session, I really wanted to dive you all into the real questions. How do you break in? How do you stay relevant? What certifications matter? What skills do recruiters fight over? And most importantly, how do you stand out in a competitive, evolving field? So, yeah. Now let's talk about what's shaping the industry right now, the market trends of 2025. The clinical research field is booming globally, and India is right at the center of it. With a growing number of international trials being outsourced to India, the demand for trained professionals is at all age high. AI driven trials, decentralized trials, and remote monitoring are no longer futuristic. They are today's reality. Companies are actively looking for talents like to adapt to digital platforms, work across global regulatory environments, and understand not just trial protocols but also real time data, patient centric models. Like India has becoming a global hub for clinical trials due to cost effectiveness, skilled professionals, and diverse patient populations. Then most of the pharma companies like Sanofi, Pfizer, Novo Nordisk have completely focusing on the areas of rare diseases, personalized medicines, AI in clinical trials, and evidence-based studies. So I quickly wanted to show a clear roadmap from a trainer level role or a fresher level role to a leadership or a manager roles. So what can be the fresher level roles? So once after you finish your bachelorate degree or a master's degree, or once you completed any trainings from any reputed institution, or any certification courses, then immediately you can enroll yourself in fresher level roles. So the main fresher level roles would be clinical trial assistant. So clinical trial assistant would be always supporting all the documentation works, like a CTA will be working for a sponsor or for a CRO company, so who will be looking all the document related activities and maintaining all the clinical trial operation process, starting from study initiation to study closeout. Then clinical research coordinator. So as my previous speakers have explained it clearly, clinical research coordinator is the one who will be acting as a center, who will coordinate with the sponsor, who will coordinate with the PI, who will coordinate with the CRA, and who will coordinate with the patients regarding their visits, their schedule of visits, then how much of drug they have been taken, or how much of investigational products have been given to all the patients. All these scheduling activities and the operation process will be completely taken care by the clinical research coordinate, and they will be mainly supporting the CRA to perform the clinical monitoring visits completely. And clinical research coordinator will be working based on the site, and any fresher can enroll any fresher can enroll themselves in as a clinical research coordinator, and they can apply for that. Then data entry associate, they will be working as a like collecting all the data in the trial, and they will be entering in EDC, electronic data capture systems, and then followed by pharmacovigilance associate. So they will be working as a working completely for phase 4 clinical trial, which will be post marketing surveillance, the adverse events and the serious adverse events once after the drug is launched into the market. So this pharmacovigilance associate will be completely monitoring the drug once after it is approved into the market. So once you are getting well versed in these roles and you get a complete knowledge about the workflow of a clinical trial, then you can easily enroll yourself into mid-level roles, that is a clinical research associate, or a medical writer, or a data manager, or a regulatory associate, or a project coordinator. So as a clinical research associate, CRA will be acting as a point of contact, or the main person, or the primary person who is responsible for all clinical trial operational processes. And mainly a CRA will focus on the safety and whether the trial is according to the compliance with GCP guidelines and ethical standards, or the patient is receiving the right amount of medications on the right time. Each and every clinical trial operations will be completely monitored by the CRA. So starting from site initiation, then the interim monitoring visits, then annual monitoring visits, or a regular frequency, like frequent monitoring visits, then study closeout visits, everything will be managed by this clinical research associate. So then as a medical writer, so they will be preparing all the documents, all the protocols, they will be designing all the CRFs, all the technical documents that will be involved in the clinical trial. Medical writer is responsible to develop, design, and like they have to prepare the entire documents, and they have to get approval from the ethic, they have to send and get approval from the sponsor. Then the sponsor has to get approval for all these documents from the uh, ethical regulatory bodies. Then data managers, so they will be managing all the data entry associates, data analysts, and they will be they will be checking and verifying the entered data has been, or the collected data has been meeting the integrity level or not. Then the regulatory associate will be monitoring all the trial related activities are in compliance with the regulatory standards and the ethics have been satisfied in the trial or not. All kind of aspects will be monitored by this regulatory associate. Then comes the project coordinator, so they will be coordinating on behalf of sponsors, CRO companies and hospitals, everything. So they will be handling certain amount of trials, and they'll be heading projects with many studies over many countries. Then comes your leadership roles. Yeah, so here under leadership roles, so once you have been uh, worked as a senior level roles or all the CRA roles, so you get a vast experience, and once you're have a clear understanding about the entire trial workflow, how a trial starts and how it process, and what are all the challenges that you face during a clinical trial, and how to retain a patient, or how to manage a serious adverse event, or how to handle so many people involving in a clinical trial. Uh, then here comes the leadership roles like clinical trial manager, regulatory leads, medical director, project manager, and head of clinical operations. So there are so many other roles also here. Basically what these people will do means they will manage the entire clinical trial operation process. They will be assigning tasks to the CRAs, CRCs, and they will be organizing a regular meetings whether the trial is conducting properly or not, and they will be keep on checking about each and every step of the trial, and they will be also verifying all the documents are correct, and every trial staff member involved in the trial have completed the GCP guidelines and have the proper certifications. They have everything will be managed and will be completely operated by these level or these leadership roles. Then what can be the growth factors that you could be it will be useful for you means like you can get certifications, then strong documentation and GCP compliance, then communication with cross functional teams, then exposure to global trials, then training certification. So basically what these companies actually want, so if you're going to be if you're going to be a life science graduate, then immediately you have to enroll yourself or you have to get into a clinical research organization. What are all the basic things that you need? One, the first and foremost thing will be ICH GCP certification. So you can be getting these certifications from NIDA, or there are so many online websites that are providing this GCP certification. So this is very mandatory for most clinical research roles like CRC, principal investigator, then study staff, nurse. Then yeah, most of the clinical like CPL, most of the clinical research roles would require this GCP certification. Then you can complete CDM and EDC like RedCap and Open Clinica. So these are like clinical data management and electronic data capture systems. So for entering into data level roles, you can learn these certifications. Then PV training for pharmacovigilance jobs, SAS or R training for biostatistician roles. So these kind of programming knowledge you can obtain for getting into these biostatistician roles. Then medical writing workshops. So there are so many companies, and there are so many certification courses available for this medical writing, or how to design a ECRF document, or how to design a protocol for particular clinical trial. So there are so many documents that are needed for the clinical trial. So how to design and develop each and every document. So there are so many workshops. You can enroll themselves and you can get easily certified from that, and you can so these are some additional things that a sponsor or a pharma company or a CRO company will look for. Then project management for leadership level roles. Then recruiters prefer candidates who are GCP certified. So there are so many certification courses available. But what are the basic certification courses you need to get certified? GCP certified, you need to be GCP certified, you need to be trained on EDC and PV softwares. First, you have to have a clear cut knowledge what are all the EDC systems available, and how can you able to learn, and how can you get certification from that. Then aware of all the regulatory guidelines, like each and every updates is very important. Like US FDA, EMA and CDSCO have been releasing so many regulatory guidelines. So if you want to get into any regulatory level roles, then you have to be prepared with these guidelines. Then how your job search and application process. So always look, so when you're applying for a clinical trial assistant, kindly have a deep look into the responsibilities of the job roles and responsibilities that a company require. So tailor your resume according to each roles and responsibilities. Highlight the certification tools and trial experience. So even if you're a fresher, just highlight your certifications and tools you have completed, and just mention that you have a theoretical knowledge on the trial, that you don't have to be practically trained for entering as a fresher. You can have a theoretical knowledge about the clinical trial. Then use action verbs and quantify your experience. Then always try job portals like Indeed, Naukri, LinkedIn, then Pharmacy Web. So there are so many job portals, like global job portals like Pharmacy Web, right? So there are so many job portals. So tailor your resume according to each and every company needs. So always prepare like 5 resumes for CR. So you're going to apply for CRC role, then prepare your resume according to CRC responsibilities. Then if you want to apply for CRA, then prepare your resume according to the responsibilities of a CRA. Then for like TMF specialist, then tailor your resume according to that. So always don't prepare one simple resume that contains all your educational background, then your additional skills required. Don't prepare your resume like that. Always prepare a resume that always go with 5 resumes, that one for CRC, one for CRA, one for data analyst, one for TMF specialist, and one for some pharmacovigilance expert, like that. Always search in a wider perspective. Then search jobs in CRO websites and pharma websites. So basically CRO websites like Icon, IQVIA, Cineos Healthcare, these companies will have their own job portals, and you can go to their career page, and you can give your or submit your resumes in their job application. Then pharma websites like Pfizer, Novo Nordisk, then Sanofi. So these kind of companies will also have this career page, no? So you can go and uh, like drop your resume in these websites. So it will be very useful for you to get your job. Always have a wider search. Don't get disappointed with one application itself. So always try to cover up all the important pharma companies, and all the major CRO websites. So always apply for many roles and many job portals, because one job application won't get you the job immediately. So always have a wider perspective if you are particularly a fresher. So if you're a trained, or if you're a experienced person, then you can look for a specific role like CRA. If you want to become a senior CRA, or on-site monitoring CRA, like that, then you can always look for role specific. But when you are a fresher, then always have a wider job search. Then how to prepare for your interview. So first, know the basics, like what is a clinical trial and what are the phases involved in a clinical trial and how the clinical trial operations happen. So initially a clinical trial will be initiated by a sponsor and all the documents will be prepared by a sponsor. The protocol have been submitted to the regulatory body, then the regulatory body will be giving approval, then the site has to be selected, then the site has to be initiated, and the site has to be perform a clinical trial, then the fellow members have to be trained for the clinical trial. So there are so many clinical operations process, right? So always have a clear idea about the clinical trial operations. So it is the actually it is the backbone of your interviewer to select whether you are an eligible candidate or not, whether you have any particular idea how a clinical trial happens, or you have or you know the basics of clinical trial or not. So whenever you're actually a fresher, let's say that you are a fresher, you have completed a masters, then you're looking for jobs. So you are looking for a job in clinical research field, then the first step would be know all the definitions, all the trial related activities, all the basic definitions of a clinical trial. Then always look into the terminologies, who is a sponsor, who is a what is a clinical trial site, and who are all the regulatory bodies involved. Then know about the clinical trial operation process, like how a clinical trial actually happens, so workflow of a clinical trial. So kindly understand everything and how the clinical trial ends. So just know everything. So you only need to know all the basics. Then once after you enter into the pharma company, the company will train according to their needs. So it's as a fresher, it's always important to know the basics, and you have to understand the trial workflow. Then be ready for common interview questions, like there will be certain interview questions like what are all the clinical trial phases, or will be given a scenario based questions. There are so many common interview technical terms, right? So they will be asking you that to know whether you are aware of aware of basics of clinical trials or not. So always be prepared with the common interview questions. Then brush up on clinical research tools, like um, what are all the current tools are available in the market, and like what are all the current updates on clinical research tools, and how effectively or how many pharma companies have been looking whether you're going to know these tools or not, like this. Then resume and application tips, like always prepare your resume according to your specific role. Don't prepare one resume and apply for all job roles. Then always go in a professional and decent dress code. Then formal dress code would always be advised. So the first impression will always be the best impression. So whenever you're going to appear in an interview in person, then always prefer a formal dress code and be very professional. Don't do any kind of improper actions in interview. Even though if you're well versed of the topic, maintain your voice and standards with high professionalism. Then practice with mock interviews, like you can practice with scenario based question and answers, like if they are giving a tough situation and you're supposed to answer that, then always prepare for mock interviews. Then don't panic. Even if they ask any kind of tricky question, don't panic. You can just explain them that you are known about this topic, but you cannot able to answer this, or you cannot able to explain the exact answer what they want. Don't panic or don't give any kind of unnecessary reactions. So these will be your basics of interview. Then here, how in Biotecnika we can help you to get into clinical research field. So this here comes the major part. So in Biotecnika, we are here to guide you, and we are providing job ready training programs. Like we have tailored a 1 3 6 months clinical research training program. We have discussed with so many industrial professionals, and we have come up with a clinical research hands-on training course, and we will be providing certifications. Then we will be helping you to career counseling and placement assistance. So here in Biotecnika, we are here to help you in resume building, mock interviews, recruiter connects, role specific training. So we will be helping you in all the process, like in clinical research, what are all the basics that you need to learn for interview, and how to build your resume for each and every role, and what kind of mock interviews will be asked by the pharma companies or CROs, and how the recruiter connects can be done, or role specific trainings, like if you want to get into CRC, then how can you enhance yourself, how can you develop yourself. Then if you want to enter as a CRA or a TMF specialist, then how can you what are all the basic things that you need to know, and what topics you should be aware of. Everything we are here, we will be covering it in the clinical research hands-on training course. So once you enrolled in this course, then starting from career counseling, starting from clinical research basics to preparing yourself for mock interviews and giving you so much confidence to appear in interview, we here Biotecnika in the certification course itself will be providing. Then live projects and internships, like hands-on exposure to CR tools and trial simulations and trial related activities, trial operations, and how to design certain trial related documents. Everything will be live project works, and internships will be provided. Then mentorship, expert guidance for career planning. So once we started to take course, then we will be starting to guide you on which kind of role you are planning to settle, or which kind of what type of role or what type of industry, whether you want to enter into a pharma company, or whether you want to enter into a CRO, or whether you want to work in a hospital as CRC. So we are here to guide you based on your interest in your career, or what kind of path you have to choose or you need to choose. We are here to guide, and we'll be providing a proper mentorship program here in the clinical research course itself. So that's all about my that's all about my end. Then thank you so much for everyone. Then thank you so much for my panelists and the speakers. It was so insightful and very overwhelming to listen such insights from the experienced persons. And thank you so much for giving this opportunity. So
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Kavita, ma'am. Even thank you for such a wonderful session. Your session was highly informative. So we are running out of time. We'll quickly begin with the question answer round now. So let's begin with Q&A. So I'm really excited to see that there are so many questions in the chat. So thank you, dear attendees, for posting the questions. And still, we have few minutes. So if you have any further queries, you can post in the chat. So first question I'm taking is of Geeta Patel. So Geeta Patel has a question that can a biotechnology postgraduate directly enter the clinical research field, or is certification mandatory? So Prashant sir, would you like to answer this question?
I mean, just a second, please.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Any certification is very necessary on this. And I mean, if folks want to just go and, I mean, you can start from basics. And there are many companies and there are many sites. They have small organizations called as site management organizations. They can approach them. They can start the work of clinical research coordinator. They can learn from there. And I mean, Certification is not mandatory, but I just heard the previous speaker was talking about the certification from Biotecnika. It's good. I mean, it's good to have it. That will give you additional knowledge, no doubt about it, and that will be very helpful for your interview process and everything. But certainly, it's not mandatory, I must say. The thing which is mandatory is like how you are doing the role and you're getting it, and that's it. And as I've told you, you can go to the many sites where clinical trials are happening, and where you can look at these sites where clinical trials are happening. There's a website called as CTRI, Clinical Trial Registry of India. There you can find the information of the clinical trials which are happening there. The sites are there, the principal investigators information is there, so you can just log on to that. You can see it, you can see where the trials are happening. You can approach the centers which are in your city. There are many site management organizations which are associated with the hospitals. You can ask them if you can work as an intern with them, or you can work with a clinical research coordinator. They're happy to look for these kind of roles, so you can approach these hospitals and the site management organizations. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for answering this question, sir. Ankita, I hope this answers your question. There's another question from Evergreen that I'm a biotech engineer and have 9 years experience in project management in publishing domain, medicine branch. So, can I upgrade my career into clinical research with the current experience she possess?
You want me to answer this?
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
Would love
Okay.
to answer.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you can. I mean, in the sense that it's a good experience. You have project management experience is definitely a very good experience in the publishing part, no doubt about it. And then you can approach. There are many companies which specifically deal in medical writing work. You can search it on the internet. There are many companies, especially in medical writing work, doing a specific part for medical writing, which involves protocol writing, document writing, or the clinical study report writing, publishing. All those things are, I mean, all those companies are available. You can just touch base with them, and they are in lookout for these kind of people who are experienced in this kind of domain. Definitely, the project management within publishing domain is a very specific, and I believe the medical writing companies would be looking for these kind of roles. So you can just approach them, and they would be very, I mean, a good starting platform for you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Evergreen, I hope this answers your question. There's another question from Nikita Chaudhary that can postgraduated in biotechnology can directly apply. I think Nikita wants to know related to clinical research. So can postgraduated in biotechnology can directly apply? So Ankita ma'am, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, certainly. So, hi Nikita. Yeah, if you are having postgraduate degree in biotechnology, you can apply for the field of clinical research, and you just need to know about the basics, like what is clinical research, how it works, and everything, and just see for which CRO or which pharmaceutical company you're applying. And as explained by the previous speaker, that you have to know about what job description and what job role they're looking for. Just go through the JD, and yeah, you can apply. But before that, just make sure that you're having a good knowledge on the basics of clinical research, because since you will be applying as a fresher, they will be asking you certain basics of clinical research and clinical trial, how it works, how it comes, and everything. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Nikita, I hope this answers your question. Sir, there's a question for you. Prashant, sir, there's a question for you from Pushkar that how we can transfer from one subfield to another in clinical research.
What does subfield means?
Pushkar, would you like to elaborate a bit? I think what he meant, sir, is that he just wanted to know, like, from other field, like related to life sciences, any other field, like uh, maybe biotechnology or microbiology or biochemistry. I think what he meant is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no, I mean, these are the life sciences. And myself, I'm a toxicology. I'm master's in toxicology, and I started my career as a clinical research associate. So it's not that you have to have some degree in clinical research and do. I mean, you go. I mean, you know, my interview when I got into interview in 2005, and I was interviewed by the CEO of the company, and he was like, I was very upfront. I went, I said, I don't know anything about clinical trials. So he said, okay, you can just come in, because you're the person who's fresh, who doesn't know anything. I can train you very well. So I mean, it's about the logic. It's all about the logic which fits into, and your communication skills, which matters a lot.
Okay. Thank you for the answer, sir. I hope this answers your question, Pushkar. We have a question from Radhika that can we go for advanced diploma in clinical research? Kavita ma'am, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Radhika, you can apply for advanced diploma in clinical research in order to know all the clinical trial operations. So you can start from the basics and you can learn entirely about the clinical trial operations. So it would be better if you pursue that course and it will be easier for you to get into the clinical research field.
Okay, thank you so much, Kavita ma'am. I hope this answers your question, Radhika. There's a question from Kusum. Prashant sir, it's for you. Good evening, sir. I have done my PG in microbiology, 2 years teaching experience. After that, I got married and I have a career gap. So whether this clinical research course is helpful for her, she just wanted to know. Like she has a career gap, and many people they have a career gap. So if they want to start again, like so, what do you suggest? Like what should be? Like she asked, like whether it's right or not. And additionally, I just wanted to know what should be the path, like how they should begin if they want to enter after a career gap into the clinical research field.
Good question. And again, I would say, I mean, career gap doesn't is not should be or shouldn't be a bothering thing. I mean, do this course, definitely it'd be helpful. Side by side, take practical experience. Again, I would always harp on the practical experience. I don't like theories. If you ask me, I always believe in I always believe in practical experience. Reach out to the centers where the clinical trials are happening. They are in look for coordinator roles, clinical research coordinator roles. You can learn a lot from there. Yeah, do this course, which will help you, no doubt, in understanding the theory part. But the most important thing is the practical thing, which is extremely important. Theories don't help, and I'm telling you, in my experience of hiring people, people who come with the theories, I don't even see the resume as well. And I'll be very practical in it. You give me the theory, I'm sorry, it's about the practical experience, how you have dealt with it, and that's what I believe. Learn the things and then gain the practical experience, and there are avenues available for the practical experience. It's not like that, but now yes, there are avenues available. So gain that experiences.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. It's really a very informative answer. I hope it answers a lot of questions of the attendees, especially who have a career gap, especially the women who have the career gap and they wanted to start their career afresh again. So thank you for the answer, sir. Again, there is a question for you, sir, from Guru. That hi, sir. Currently, I'm pursuing Pharmacy in pharmaceutical quality assurance and long that 2 years of experience in bioanalytical department, clinical and preclinical studies. So can you guide me?
I mean, I'm just understanding what kind of guidance that to experience biomedical department, clinical and preclinical studies. Can you guide me? Guide me for what? I mean, biomedical department. If you have experience in a clinical, I mean, a contract research organization or something. Obviously, I mean, if you want to move into because he has written everything. Is it like he's in bioanalytical department, clinical, preclinical studies? What exactly? What kind of? Can you be precise in your question? It is very vague, I would say. But again, come with a precise question. I mean, I can't understand this vague question, please. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there are many attendees, sir, who are like, they are really very much confused about their career, and definitely they seek guidance on the same. So what I can make out is that Guru just wanted to know that he has this kind of experience. Now, what further to upgrade himself in his career? What further things he can go for? Like any sort of skills? What skills he can develop, or what certifications he can go for? I think.
I mean, certifications again. Certification. I must say they're good to have certifications, but yes, the communication skills are extremely important, and the work what you have done. I mean, you should showcase that. Whatever you have done, you should showcase that. If you're working in some current organization, what you have done, you should showcase that, and based on that, obviously your managers understand what exactly you're doing and have done, and then you can, I mean, ask for, if you want some little movement in your organization, they can help you in that part. That's what I can say. I mean, but I believe it should be more precise what exactly is the need. And I'm happy to take a question answer sessions for folks if dedicated for that. I mean, I'm very happy. Again, I would say it's my love for clinical research, and I really need good clinical researchers to come on board. I am really finding them very less good clinical researchers coming on board these days. So I'm very happy to take a session a Q&A session. I mean, no theories, nothing, just my practical experiences. I can do that if you want, if you guys want it. I can
Definitely, sir. We'll love to hear from you. Definitely having such a vast experience, and especially you are so much enthusiastic in just guiding the dear attendees. So definitely in future we can have a separate Q&A session, especially dedicated for the clinical research field. So thank you for letting us know, sir. I'll take the last one or two questions. So we have a question from Neha that does the clinical research coordinator role require to have the SAS programming skill, and how important is SAS programming for CRA role? So Ankita ma'am, Kavita ma'am, anybody would like to take up this question?
Okay, ma'am, I would like to answer Neha. So, Neha, basically a clinical research coordinator, will be acting from the site, managing all the documents on site level. So, a clinical research coordinator doesn't have to be trained with SAS programming or R skills. So, it will be managed entirely by biostatistician role or a data analyst role. So, a CRC don't have to worry about these kind of skills. If you want to enroll yourself into a data analyst or a biostatistician role, then SAS and R programming would be much helpful for you. So that's all.
Thank you so much, Kavita ma'am, for your answer. So I will be taking up this last question, and again, this question is for you, sir. Neha wants to know that how did you got interested in clinical trial research after doing master's toxicology? Like she just wanted to know, like what made you switch from toxicology to enter into the clinical research field?
Interesting. I mean, first of all, I never wanted to do PhD, and that's why I'm very clear about it. I mean, especially no PhD in India. I mean, and I was never interested in PhD. I wanted to move into the industry. I gave my CAT. My percentile was not too great, so I thought of trying another chance of taking CAT. But meanwhile, they were one of my mentors. I would say he's no more, but I must say, I mean, I'm there because of his vision. So he told me to explore this clinical research and side by side pursue for my CAT. So he asked me to just go for the interview, and that's what I said. I mean, I went for an interview with the CRO, and I told him I don't know anything about clinical research. I just because I just want to know more about clinical research, and he said, okay, just come in and we'll train you, and that was my journey started. And I must say that I must thank my mentor. He's one of the veterans in clinical research industry. He's no more there, but I mean, and all my mentors whom I worked with, they have been like the veterans and the pioneers of clinical research in India. Because I started my career at Eli Lilly, and Eli Lilly was one of the pioneers of clinical research in India in late 90s and early 2000s. And I worked all with all the great people, and they've inspired me a lot. So that's what I can say.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such a wonderful experience and guiding our attendees. So, dear attendees, due to time constraint, I won't be able to take more questions. But don't worry, you can post your questions at cst@biotecnika.org, and we will be happy to answer your questions there. So, as we come to the close of today's insightful webinar, I would like to thank all our expert speakers for making this webinar so meaningful. Thank you so much, Ankita ma'am, for providing a clear roadmap of CR, clinical research job roles, expectations, and qualifications so clearly to our attendees. Thank you so much, Prashant sir, for giving us a real-life glimpse into project workflows and tool usage, and even real-life experiences you shared during the question-answer round. So your real-world perspectives will definitely help our attendees align their preparation better. And thank you so much, Kavita ma'am, for outlining a solid career progression strategy and sharing how Biotecnika can support learners has added definitely a great value. So to all our participants, thank you for your active participation and enthusiasm. Before we close, a quick reminder, our clinical research training program is starting on 24th July. So if you are looking to build a strong foundation and gain practical knowledge, this is your chance to upskill. So this is Dr. Tanushree signing off, wishing you all the best in your clinical research journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.